Hey, hey, welcome to Live with Lynn. So if you're here, say hi. If you're watching the replay, be sure to type replay so I know you were here. I'm Lynn Huber, and I appreciate you being here with me. So, I talk a lot about personal development and growth. I haven't talked about me in quite a while. And so I thought today I would talk about me. I'd talk about why I signed up to Sell Avon. So, the year was 2001. So Richard and I were living what we thought was the American dream. I was the head of the marketing department of a good-sized food distributor in Santa Barbara, California, and I had developed that department from the ground up. Richard was a grocery store manager, and we both had those kinds of jobs, where you get there in the morning and you get thrown in a blender, and then you're like whirred around, just like a blender for like 10 hours or more. And then all of a sudden you're spit out and you look up and you're like, oh, it's time to go home. Except for then, many times I took work home too. But you know what? We loved our jobs. We had power jobs. I worked hard all my life and scrapped my way into that job. I mean, I felt like I had arrived. I was living my dream, right? We were probably about $50,000 in credit card debt. Hi, Shavalita. Good to see you. Thanks for being here. So we were about $50,000 in credit card debt. But, as long as we were able to make the minimum monthly payment every month, we thought we were doing great, right? I mean, we were also both working 60 to 70 hours a week, and I was commuting 3 hours every day to and from work. And I know what that sounds like, right? I know you're probably sitting there thinking, I can hear my dad saying, when I was young, I had to walk to school 2 miles every day, and it was uphill both ways. But you know what? Seriously, I drove from Ventura to Santa Barbara, which should be like a 30 to 40-minute drive, but it took me an hour and a half each way every day. And there were times when it took me 3 or 4 hours. I mean, sometimes even longer. Luckily, that wasn't very often. But that was that dreaded commute. I hated that commute. But so anyway, I'm a geek. And it's 2001, and the internet was just becoming mainstream. Richard and I were square dancing at the time. We loved it. We just loved square dancing. It was great stress relief. We made a lot of friends. And I thought it would be really cool if I could create a website with a calendar so anybody could go online and find out where the dances were. There was a booklet you could subscribe to at the time, like a little magazine that came out monthly that, that showed where the dances were, but it wasn't real time. Obviously, you had to kind of verify because sometimes things changed. And I thought a website would be live in real time, and you could literally say, I'm going to go to LA this weekend and wonder if there's a dance, right? But the thing is, way back then, building a website was kind of expensive. I mean, the technology was new. The database I needed in order to do a calendar, I had to have a database, and that was like an additional $150 on top of the hosting expense. These days you pay $5 or $10 for hosting. It includes all that, but that's not how it was then. So I didn't want to charge admission to the website. I wanted it to be available and easy to use for everybody, and so I went looking for a way to pay for it. And back then, I didn't know anything about network marketing or direct sales. All I knew was Avon, Tupperware, and Mary Kay. There's just those three, right? That's all I knew. Avon was promoting that you could be an e-representative and you could sell online. They were promoting that. They were the only one out of the three, I think, that I saw that was promoting it. So I thought, well, okay, I'll sign up to Sell Avon, promote my Avon link on my Square Dance website, and that will help cover my costs. And that was all I was ever going to do. You know what? Never in a million years, as I was scrapping my way up to be director of marketing, never, ever did I think I was going to grow up to be an Avon lady. That just wasn't it wasn't even, I'm not even a big makeup person, right? But Avon may have thought they were online at the time and that you could be an e-rep, but they didn't really have the technology yet. And there were some serious problems back then. I was losing customers to Avon itself, or just losing them because they couldn't figure out the website. Because Avon, and it's not Avon's fault. I mean, the whole world, it was brand new technology, but they were so worried about security. They didn't want somebody stalking us reps, I think. And so you had to register to get into the website. And it was just, they were trying to protect us, but they were losing our sales for us, So it was a process. So Richard and I started taking brochures to dances. That worked, and we started bringing in this nice little side income that was covering the cost of the website. And then Richard says, let's see if we can take it just a little further. Maybe I'll pass books around the neighborhood and we'll see what happened. And so that helped us gain a little more income. And we were totally happy with that at the time. We weren't having to put a lot of effort into it. And we were bringing in a little extra, enough to cover what we needed. And then it was about a year into our business. Avon had a Home for Holidays event down in LA. And we thought it would be great to see all the upcoming holiday products. And so Richard and I decided to go. So while we were there, you know, it was a whole it was like a convention, well, sort of small little convention. They had a room where they had all the products. And then they had like the general session, which was in, you know, an auditorium. And so we were seated in that general session. And Avon had the leadership reps stand up, and they recognized them. And there was very few at the time. I mean, it was kind of, leadership was still pretty new, I think. It had been around for a while, but in my district, we had districts back then, there was only one lady who was advanced unit leader. And I think she was the highest rank at the time in my district. And advanced unit leader back then was just getting started. But at that point, they had 3 representatives under them on their team. So it was still, they were in leadership, they were like going, but they were really still just getting started. And I know this is going to sound bad, but I didn't really think this lady was super smart. I didn't have a real high opinion of her. But I was sitting next to the district manager, and I leaned over and I asked the district manager, how much money is this lady making in leadership? I mean, I was just curious, right? And the district manager says to me that she thought it was about $300 a month. So $300 a month, I know it sure as heck doesn't sound like much, right? But as soon as she said that, the thought came into my head. It's like, oh my gosh, I can blow that out of the water. I guess I'm a little competitive. I don't know. But I mean, that's how my mind works. It's like I didn't even think about, oh, 300, that's nothing. I was making way more than that, right? That didn't even enter my mind. What entered my mind was, oh, I could blow that out of the water. And the funny thing is, on the way home from LA that day, talking to Richard, I found out he had thought the same thing. He heard her say it, and he was thinking the same thing. So, hey, we decided to see what would happen. We got busy. And I mean, hey, we had great jobs. We loved our jobs. We still could, but you know, we just couldn't take time off when we wanted. I mean, there was a time when we went on a cruise, and then Richard had family in Germany, and they sent a message to him that his mama, he was a foreign exchange student there, so it wasn't his mom, but it was his adopted mom there. She was getting sick and was going to die, and they wanted us to come. And, you know, I went in, and we had already booked a cruise, and so I was going to be back from the cruise for a week and then have to leave again, and my boss was like wigging out. No, you can't do that. And I'm like, sorry, it doesn't work that way. Just let me know if you don't want me to come back. But I mean, we were tied down to our jobs. We just couldn't do what we wanted, right? And so we decided to go for it. So, hey, so here's the thing. It started slow, of course. I mean, we didn't have a lot of time to work our business. And so, yeah, it was like $300 a month. And then it was like $500 a month. And then over time, it grew to like $1,000 a month, and then a couple of thousand. And it kept growing over time, you know. But even $300 a month on top of your regular income can make a huge difference in your life. I know it doesn't sound like it, but on top of your income, if you already have income, you have a job or whatever, and you're making an extra $300 or $500 a month, now you're able to pay off those bills and become debt-free if that's what you want to do. Now you're able to send your children to the best schools if that's your dream. Now you're able to take an incredible exotic vacation every year. You know, now you can have a new car, or, you know, now you're able to grow your business even more and let go of that day job. And so now you can live that life on your dreams. So it's up to you, you know. I mean, that's just what's so cool about having that extra money, even if you don't do anything more with it. So one of the side benefits of having a business is personal growth. I mean, your income never exceeds your personal growth. That's something I've learned along the way. You seriously need to be growing yourself as a person. And we started seeing and looking at things differently. And we started to realize that debt wasn't good. You know, meeting the minimum payments was keeping us hostage. And so we started paying off our debt, and we started realizing that we could have that freedom to live our lives the way we wanted. So sure, I never wanted to be an Avon lady, but if it could offer this, at that point, I was all in. At that point, I mean, my priorities had changed over those, you know, couple of years. my priorities had changed. I mean, yeah, the powerful job was amazing. I loved it. I loved what it made me feel like I was it. I was powerful. But I started to see a whole different side of life that was possible, right? So within 2 years, we paid off our credit card debt, and I was able to, quote, retire from my job. So it wasn't like we made so much money with Avon. I mean, I'm not trying to say that it was a get rich quick or, hey, we signed up with Avon and look at us. You know, I mean, that's not really how it happened, right? It's a business like any other. But it was as a result of our personal growth, which came from our Avon business, and being able to see that new possibility for our lives, we made the decisions to change things. And so, yeah, we paid off our credit card debt, and I was able to quit my job. But then we made a decision to downsize our house as part of our plan to get out of debt. So rather than, I mean, to pay it off, we just decided for a while we would live in a smaller house. We actually moved into a mobile home for a while. So that helped us get out of our debt, and then it was a lot easier to pay off the mobile home, right? So a couple of years later, we were able to retire Richard, and then we were 100% debt free. And no house payment, no car payments, no credit card debt. You know, I could not believe how free that left us. Now we were living the life of our dreams, and we could travel and live our lives on our own terms. And now at this point, it's been years since I've worked in a job, and I would never go back. I love my life. I love the freedom I have. Avon has been such a great blessing to me in our lives, and it's enabled us to continue to live debt-free and not have to work in the corporate world. And at this point, I'm virtually unemployable. So has it been easy? No, it hasn't. It's been difficult at times, but it wasn't easy when I was working in my power job either, right? I mean, it's all relative. You're going to work hard in life anyway, right? So if you have a dream like we did, then you might as well work hard building your dream instead of your boss's dream. So, hey, if you want to join my team, I would love to have you. You can get started at workwithlynn.com. That's workwithlynn.com. But if you have another business, or if you're not interested in a business, or if you're totally happy in your job, hey, that's totally okay. My purpose of this video wasn't to recruit you. I'm just sharing my story. So we've tried some other companies alongside Avon, and we've had some success with most of them. They're all great companies, but when it came right down to it, I've always made and still continue to make more money with Avon. So tomorrow I'm going to go into more details about that, and I'll tell my story about that. So, hey, I'd love to hear from you. Have you tried something outside of the corporate world? How has that benefited you? I would love to hear. So please get below, share with me. And Shavalita, thanks for being here with me today. Hope you all have a great day, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.